Hey everybody, Wintermute coming to you from the think tank, and this is kind of a quick update on the game that we're playing on Tabletop Simulator. I tried to record it, however, I ran into a problem where the program I use, OBS, was not recording the voices on TeamSpeak. I'm not quite sure what I need to do to fix that. And actually, if anybody out there is familiar with how to fix that, please contact me because I'm going to do a little bit of research this week when I can to try and figure out how to get around that. And if somebody actually has an answer straight away, that'd be great. So I could at least get those recorded and posted, kind of just for people to listen to, watch in the background. We played one session this week, and a couple things came up. And back to my point from my last video is this is why it's so great to actually get to play with other people, and because they're going to challenge you on the rules because they may have read the exact same thing you did but come up with a completely different understanding. And actually, a situation popped up where one of the players asked the question, can militia move within Spain during the Spanish Civil War? And I thought about it, and I checked the entry for militia on the reference card that I was, the kind of main reference unit card I was using, and it said, can be built in any land zone, number per turn up to 1 IPP value, minimum 1, max 1 in captured land zones, move 1 in home country, can be upgraded to, and so on and so forth. And well, here's the thing. I thought about it. I'm like, well, I guess that would technically be their home country, and I guess you could say the same thing about China. I never really thought about moving those militia, though, within those two powers. So I went ahead and I shot a quick email to Morton and asked him to clarify that, and he responded back with a only major power. He actually responded back with an actual snippet from the rulebook that said clarifies only major powers can move militia within their home country. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But this also kind of shows that there are limitations to using quick reference sheets that sometimes will mess you up if it's something you haven't experienced before. Because even with China, the entry explains what is their home country, and it makes sense if you just read "move 1 in home country." You would think that just by reading that snippet as a quick reference, you would think to yourself, well, okay, well, I guess the militia can move within China, even during the Civil War. Because this quick blurb right here doesn't mention anything about having to be a major power. So that's kind of like a depth of rules thing, and at the same time showing the limitations sometimes of what these quick reference sheets can do for you. So I would just, the reason I bring this up specifically was one, as to kind of clarify that if anybody else had run into that question, and two, kind of, there is especially when you're first learning the game, it may be worth it when it's not your turn, even if you answer a question or somebody kind of goes, hey, I think this is how this works, and I say, okay, well, that makes sense. When later on, go ahead and pull that section out and read it in depth and see if there isn't any wording that is going to really kind of change the way it plays or the way you thought it plays, just to be on the safe side. Because not having asked about that, I would have stopped right there. I would not have gone far enough. I likely would not have gone a step farther of looking up the militia entry, or even asking about it, if I had just read that blurb and said, oh, okay, I guess you can. All right, that makes sense. So just as I guess a cautionary tale, so to speak, and a learning thing, always make it a point to kind of, when you get the chance, double check a couple layers deeper into the rules to make sure that there isn't something that is just a small one sentence or just a couple word caveat that kind of goes, okay, all right, that makes way more sense now. So there's that. Another question that came up though was placing when it came time to place the Gurkhas. Now Gurkhas can be placed. It says they can be placed anywhere within India. Now the other two players were talking, and they said, "Well, that would exclude Burma, and that might exclude Ceylon." And I'm kind of like, and me, I never thought any deeper of that. I figured that it was going to be basically, and all of this. I figured all of this would be considered India at this point in history, not knowing the specific history of that area very well, admittedly. But then I went ahead and I asked Morton, and he pointed out that Ceylon and Burma would not be considered part of India. So it would just be basically from Kashmir all the way down to southern India, and then over here in Maharashtra and Punjab over to Bengal would be India proper, not Burma, not Ceylon. I don't know if that's specified anywhere in the rules, like defining the borders of what India proper is. I don't recall there being any kind of clarification in the rules. And without that, I wouldn't have known that. Just not knowing the history of that area anywhere near as well as some of the other places, I would have just assumed that would have all been India proper at that point. So that was interesting to find out and get clarified. Again, just passing that on to you guys, and that wraps up that segment of what the hell is India anyway. Now we're going to go into this segment I like to call all the ways that Japan can piss people off. Now, I know there has been some confusion among some players I've talked to, actually several players now, about the wording of the Japanese capital ships being placed in the build queue or actually into the place units box. Some players have read it where you're only going to trigger one increase with each capital ship, regardless of when you place it or it goes into the place units box. If you have it here, like if you start the game with one in the middle of the production queue, then you move it to the place units box, that would trigger. If you place one here in stage 3, a capital ship, that would trigger. Now, this one that you placed here in stage 3 after the game started moves here, and then the next turn it moves here, it will trigger again. And some players have I know there was some back and forth about how that rules. I always figured it triggered twice. And Morton cleared that it does. If you start a new capital ship, it'll trigger a bonus to America. And if you splash it, it will trigger that same bonus again of peacetime income to all the nations that get triggered. I don't remember. I think it's just the U.S. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to look it up right now. But just to clarify, each capital ship you start and place onto the board during the game is going to trigger that peacetime income increase twice. So just to get that clarified. So that ends the all the ways Japan can piss people off segment. So with that said, I just wanted to give a quick update and like I said, I am going to actually another kind of thing came up. Questions about timing your attacks during the term, and I'm going to do a video about that, which is going to be a little more in depth, so I may not get it done this week. And then I'm going to follow that up with a video about timing in the turn order, meaning with the order in which the nations play. Those are two topics that I think are very tricky, and at the same time, a kind of like an advanced kind of way of looking at things and thinking about things. Now, again, I'm not a rules expert. I make mistakes too, and part of the process that I want to go through with this channel, and I know General Hand Grenade has said the same thing on his channel, is when he did the rules videos, it was the rules as he understood them. That doesn't mean they're 100% right. And I absolutely want people to challenge and critique if I made a mistake or didn't clarify something well enough. That is only going to make us all better players. And when I explain it, it's as I understand it, and as I've read the rules and asked questions, because I've sent numerous questions to various game designers that worked on this and some of the expansions to get things clarified. And so everything will be as I understand it. It doesn't mean I'm going to be 100% right. And my please, 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 if you catch something that I'm doing wrong, I want you to say something. Even if it's to me directly in email, that's great. But those are two topics that I kind of want to kind of go into as a basic primer. So hopefully people can kind of understand how it pans out a little bit better, and how it works out, and the timing of choosing your attacks, and how to resolve your attacks, and then turn order as well. How turn order affects some of the decisions you're going to make. So that's the next kind of little project I'm going to work on. And yeah, hopefully I'll be done with them within a couple days, but I don't know. We'll see. I got a lot going on right now. But yeah, otherwise, it's Wintermute signing off. Everybody have a great night.